Hello. This is Gretch from the CEO podcast, CBNation.co, and Blue 16 Media, your choice for all your web design, SEO, and digital marketing needs. And this is the CB Nation TV Rundown for the week of October 21st, 2018. And we are winding down towards the end of the year, so it's super exciting time, super scary time, because everybody's trying to get everything done before the year closes, and also try to prepare for 2019 to get ready to do everything and get everything in place related to that. So it's funny because I was actually looking at my bookshelf and I came across this, which is one of the first books I remember receiving for a book review, and it's by Eric Rise. You may have not seen it in this way, but this is The Lean Startup. This is actually an uncorrected proof, not for sale. And I was going through, I couldn't remember exactly when I got it, but it was copywritten in 2011. So probably got it sometime around, fall of 2011, it says on here. So it might have been, the end of 2010 or 2011 that I got this to actually review. And it's funny because I'm going to talk a little bit more about our closing quote, and just comes directly from this, and how much of an impact this book has had, because I usually talk with a lot of people about this book in one way, shape, or form. And usually I start out by saying, have you heard of The Lean Startup? The whole idea of the MVP, and it's all marked up, with a lot of different quotes. And this is from years ago, so it's crazy to kind of see all this. But again, it's one of my favorite kind of go-to books to kind of recommend to entrepreneurs and business owners, just because it has this approach where it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much startup capital you have. It's how you approach developing your business venture. And I thought that was just an awesome book. So anyways, that was a flashback, and just because it was like 7 or 8 years ago, I wanted to just kind of touch on that. And again, the closing quote is going to be based off of that. But first things first, if you haven't already, if you didn't hear it last week, we have our I Am CEO tribe. We're accepting applications, so be sure to go to the site and check out and apply for the I Am CEO tribe. Definitely a tribe of entrepreneurs and business owners, go-getters, CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners, all people that are really looking to have a community, opportunities to get featured on CEO Blog Nation, but probably on a deeper level, build that community, get access to premium content. So be sure to check that out and make sure that you apply to there. And then, of course, we have two events that I was going to talk about. One of them, because I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, DC Podfest. It's coming up on November 9th and 10th. So make sure that you visit our event site so that you can see everything, and register and click through and register for DC Podfest. I think they have their early bird special coming up. We're closing up pretty soon. So if you want to sign up for that, make sure to do that. And we might also be, doing a write-up on our DMV CEO blog based off of that. But again, just make sure, if you're a podcaster or you're thinking about podcasting, make sure you show up for DC Podfest on November 9th. And I believe the actual location is in Arlington, but again, all the details are over on our DMV CEO site, but on our event site as well too. And then the next thing you want to check out is there's a big, huge expo for women. It's called the Women Empower Expo, and it's over in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's actually on November 10th. All day, it looks like a really action-packed and powerful conference for women. I imagine that you don't just have to be a woman to go there, but I think it's obviously tailored towards women. So you want to make sure, again, you can check that out across over on our event site as well too. So be sure to check that out. And now I'm going to basically give you a rundown of some of the best things that I think you should check out across our community as well too. If you don't already know, if you click any of the links in our profile, across our social media sites, you can usually go directly to our quick links. Our quick links has kind of like a feed of literally everything you should check out. You can check out across the community, like the latest posts, some really big, I think, places you should go, like, different sites you can go to very quickly, but it has our latest posts, so you can literally see all the content that we've created from a certain period of time. This, goes back to probably about, the 10, 20 posts that we posted this week. But the best things that I think you should check out, number one, we had 7 entrepreneurs explaining exactly how they use their podcast for business. And I think that the reason that I wanted to bring this up is, of course, this was a roundup over on Rescue a CEO, But the big thing, and I think the number one kind of comment that we had was to build personal relationships. I thought that was really big because I actually recorded a podcast that should go live towards the end of the year for the CEO Chat podcast. We talked a little bit about it was me and myself, and Eric, and he has the creative marketing zone, and we talked about how the podcast has opened up personal relationships because it's been like a relationship building opportunity. So a lot of people talk about podcasts, like how many advertisers, how many downloads do you have? And that's definitely important. Don't get me wrong. That's definitely something that you want to try to keep in mind. But the big thing is that it also is a great way to build relationships. And I've started to leverage my podcast as a way to build relationships with people. So again, when you see Joe Fairless, talk about on the number one spot is just to build personal relationships is definitely important. But again, there's a lot of different ways that people are using podcasts, whether it be to build their credibility or to build their overall presence, and authority positioning is also a really big one. But again, lots of different ways that you can definitely, you use your podcast as well too. So check out those 8 things over as well too. So check out those 8 things, rescue a CEO. And then the next 4 entrepreneurs explain their best business habits. And, I always remember the quote that, your activities become your habits become your actions become like your day becomes your month becomes your year. So basically the idea is that, you have these habits, you build up these habits, and you kind of drill down on those things and understand those minute things that you do, because it creates this snowball effect to determine pretty much your year, your life, and pretty much how happy you are and what things that you want to do. So thought there was really a lot of content, as you can see, on this site. I thought one of the biggest things is really from Tamara Bunt was just really to take a hour of power to take control of your day. And one of the big things that I do is I've tried to make sure to really start my day on a really high level, and I've done that periodically, but I'm trying to make it more of a point to really like win the morning. In order to win the day, I have to win the morning. So whether that power hour is at any time, I thought really it doesn't take as much time as you think to really take control of your day. But Tamara basically talked a little bit about that, so I thought that was really something to kind of keep in mind. But again, batching content, taking time for your team, keeping a clean inbox, grouping tasks together so you can be, super efficient. 80-20 rule. Again, there's loads and loads of content here, and loads of, little hacks that you can use to be, super effective and efficient with everything that you're doing. So be sure to check out that post over on Rescue a CEO. And the next thing that you want to check out is an infographic that we have that talks about traditional marketing expertise. And funny, this also came up, during the podcast episode that we did yesterday, which hasn't gone live yet, but will go live yet over on CEO Chat, which is basically the Who's Interviewing Who podcast. That'll be, super awesome. But we talked a little bit about how, traditional we talked about the advantages of digital marketing and all the opportunities, the future of digital marketing. But also, I believe Frank, who was one of the people that was on the podcast, has also been on our IMCO podcast, talked about how traditional marketing it still has those principles there. Even though, we're doing it from a digital standpoint, marketing is to some degree marketing. So having the opportunity to really to do that. And I thought this infographic was, right in line with literally what we talked about yesterday, which was how to learn from traditional marketing strategies. So these are basically traditional marketing strategies. Social media is still, very, very new, still is in its infancy. So understanding exactly what impressions are, brevity, repetition, just all those things, and how it translates to a traditional, marketing mindset, and transition from a traditional marketing mindset, I should say, is definitely very important. So definitely, check this out. There's loads of information. This is from Clever Tap. They provided this infographic that's over on Teach a CEO. So be sure to check that out as well too. And then switching gears a little bit, we have I Am CEO podcast number 91. This is with Michael Simonetta. And I think that the thing that really resonated with me during this interview was that Michael, talked about Kibby and his social planning app, where you basically find, things to do all across your community. And I thought it was really, really cool because I've been a really big, proponent and person that looked into like meetups and finding out different, out of the box things that you can do. So there's an app related to it. But I think what really was awesome about, the interview was that he touched on this idea of social isolationism. And I think when you think about Meetup, you think about, maybe Facebook groups, all these things, you in social media as a whole, you sometimes forget that a lot of times these are ways in which people can find their tribes, find people they're connected to, and feel a part of something. And I think that, especially being an entrepreneur, business owner is definitely a lonely ride a lot of the times. But to be able to have a platform that has that mission to do that, and that's their overarching mission, is definitely very powerful. So, we talked about a lot of different things. Of course, Gary V made an appearance as far as the CEO podcast, but, just understanding, how important it is to, to have that tribe and have a platform like this to make it easy for people to find their tribe. I thought was really, really powerful. So I appreciate Michael for, what he's building, what he's doing, and be sure to check out that podcast over on the I Am CEO website. And then, we have a guest post, and the post touches on time, which is extremely important, for entrepreneurs and business owners. It's funny that because a lot of times you can go through a day, and if you're just going, you have no idea where your time went. So this basically, touched on, real data to show you exactly like where most organizations kind of spend their time, and how you should spend the time, and kind of breaking that down. And a lot of things you'll hear, hear it a lot through in our IMCO podcast, as far as like the CEO hacks, is just time blocking. That's been something that's extremely consistent. And even the podcast interview that I had on earlier Friday, for the IMCO podcast, she talked about exactly how she creates a color based off of whatever type of activity she's having during that time. So similar to what this infographic does is it gives you an idea of exactly like how you're spending your time, because you can literally look at it like that with a quick look to see exactly like how you're spending your time. Are you spending all your time on blue things, which might be fun things? Are you spending all your time on red things, which may not be as fun? But again, really great way to kind of look at, your time. It's a great reminder. And, Mark, Elwood definitely, gave a great insight into looking at, your time and giving us a reminder as far as like, we all have 24 hours in a day. Even Beyonce has 24 hours in a day. So if she has 24 hours in a day, she can do all the things that she can do. If Oprah can do it, if, Mark Cuban, all these people can, accomplish so much in the day. It's all in figuring out how you can manage that day. And a lot of times that's looking at your time. So this was a great CEO, a great guest post overall on the Rescue of CEO, IMCO. Last but not least, I wanted to go on the theme of time, and we had IMCO podcast number 94 with Liam Martin, who's the CMO and co-founder of Time Doctor and the Twist app and staff.com and Running Remote. He has a lot of different projects that he's working on, but the really interesting thing, this is really an awesome interview, because we touched on how important it is from a work standpoint, and how he's really looking at work, and he's looking at this idea of outsourcing, which is on the rise, and it probably will continue to rise. And if there's any like economic downturn or anything, you'll probably definitely see the increase of people that are doing that as well too. But super passionate about, looking at work, looking at how people are working, looking at how to be more effective, as an entrepreneur and business owner. So I thought this was a phenomenal CEO IMCO podcast, because Liam, what's awesome as far as like all the things that he's doing, especially with Time Doctor, like I mentioned, continuing with time, understanding like how you're spending your time, and looking at that really cool, app and website you want to check out. But all his other projects, from Running Remote to staff.com, again, all around this same idea of time, whether it be a conference like the Running Remote is, or staff.com, and looking at exactly like what it means, and how people are spending their time and what ways they're doing that. Super important, super passionate, whether you are a one man or woman band, or you are running a team and trying to figure out how to be more efficient. And then the CEO Nugget, that he left us with actually at the end of the podcast was super powerful, because he said sometimes, you just may not know what to do. Just put an extra hour in, put an extra hour of work in, and that will probably help you out more than anything else. So sometimes I think a lot of people will try to figure out whether they should go right or go left, should they go up or should they go down. But a lot of times, if you just put in that extra hour, a lot of times you'll see an impact from doing that. So, like Gary Vee always says, just put in extra work. Liam said that to some degree, is that, putting that extra hour in, putting extra time in, not watching Ozarks can definitely, result in you being more successful in your business. But that's basically it as far as a rundown for everything that you should check out this week. And the last thing that I wanted to leave you with was just the closing quote, which is that, every pivot unlocks new opportunities. That's posted on our Instagram account by Eric Rise. Again, I said I was going to come back to the idea of the lean startup, and I thought pivots are very, very important. If you haven't checked out that book, please check out that book. It's an awesome book, and definitely something I absolutely swear by and recommend to people, no matter how big or how small their company is and what their investment in their business is. It's something that you can really look at as far as like building an MVP. But again, remember that every pivot unlocks new opportunities, and that's basically it for this week. As always, if there's anything I can do, feel free to let me know. But I will see you next week, and have a phenomenal rest of the day.